Hey everyone, we are looking at limits involving infinity. First of all, I'm going to say this. Buzz Lightyear's an idiot. You can't go beyond infinity. You can't even get to infinity, so going beyond it is extra stupid. There, I said it. Okay, so our textbook totally overcomplicates this section. That's why I'm just like, let's just look at this really beautiful graph I've drawn. So the key again with limits, don't overthink it. That's always the key with limits. So first of all, looking at, we have this x arrow, you can see a little negative, you can see an infinity there. So as x approaches negative infinity, so you're just heading to really big negative numbers. And that y value we can see gets really, really close to 1. That's our limit. Don't think too much. Limit as x approaches 2 from the left. Remember that minus on the after the number means that we're approaching from the left. So if I go towards positive 2 from the left, the negative side, my y values are getting big in the negative direction, so I have a negative infinity. Approaching 2 from the right, same thing's going on, just getting really big negative numbers. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Actually, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to look at number at 5 first, and then I'll come back to this x approaching 2 and talk about it. So approaching 5 from the left, we can see that this y value gets really big positive numbers, so we're heading to infinity. Approaching, oops, I put that in the wrong place. Approaching 5 from the right. So we have the x arrow 5 plus. So if I approach 5 from the right, I get really big negative numbers. So clearly, looking at x approaching 5 in general, the left and the right definitely going to two different places. So this limit as x approaches 5 definitely does not exist. Now this is going to be the weirdest part. X approaching 2. So as I look at x approaching 2, from the left, negative infinity. From the right, negative infinity. So you could easily argue, oh, our limit is negative infinity. But then sometimes people are like, no, we're just going to say this doesn't exist. And that's, to be honest, confusing. I don't have a good answer there. The reality is generally people would accept either saying that we go to negative infinity, or we would say it does not exist. The one-sided limits, we would always say this exists. So always for one-sided, we would actually answer the question, but the two-sided, and to be honest, I don't know why people would say one or the other, and I can actually give good arguments either way. So I'm going to just tell you, I'll accept either of those answers. Okay, now going to positive infinity for our x values. So you've probably learned about asymptotic behavior, and you get told it always looks something like what we see going to negative infinity, where this function's getting really, really close to 1 without actually touching 1. If we look at going to positive infinity, we can see that as x gets bigger, y stays very, very close to 3. Does it equal 3? Well, sometimes. Is it above and below 3? Sometimes. But is it always close to 3? Yes. And that's why we do say, yes, this limit is 3. People get a little confused by that, and that's okay. But just remember, what does y get close to as x gets close to, in this case, infinity? It gets close to the 3, so that's why we say it's the 3. Now just for funsies and extra practice, I threw this guy in. We have 3, negative 3, 3 from the left. So if we approach 3 from the left, we're going up like that. We're heading towards y equals negative 2. Approach 3 from the right. If we go down like that, we're still heading to negative 2. And since the left hand and the right hand are in agreement with each other, yes, this limit exists as x approaches 3, just like in general. Do we care about x equals 3? Not a bit. We don't care that f of 3 is negative 3. We only care that our function gets close to -2 as x gets close to 3. That's the key thing you need to keep in mind with these limits. You're always saying, what value does y get close to as x gets close to fill in the blank? So once again, don't overthink your limits. Also, Buzz Lightyear's an idiot. Also, we can deal with infinity. No big deal.